A lot of folks are trying to say the crisis is over. Is the crisis over?
No.
Is the crisis over?
No.
So not only are the foreclosures back up, if folks saw the Warren Group information, the last quarter, the number of foreclosure starts were 77.3% more than the first quarter of 2014. The numbers now are rivaling the fall of 2012. And we do not see an end in sight, which means that within a month or two we may well be at the same rate we were in at the very top of the crisis in 2010 and 2011. Does anybody think that we've gotten justice?
No.
Does anybody think that the banks have cleaned up their act?
No.
So the thing is, and I want a whole bunch of the folks who are here to speak today are here to tell the backstory. Not only what was done to you and why it was wrong, but also to tell the story about what we know now the banks did that was illegal. We knew they did illegal stuff all along, but what we didn't have was the evidence of what they had done. We've got that evidence now. And we're going to go into this building behind us and we're going to talk at the hearing and clarify for the legislators that what we were saying was going to happen has come to pass. So I'm not going to say a lot more. My name's Grace Ross. I'm from the Mass Alliance Against Predatory Lending. We are the statewide coalition, which we are honored. Many of you are part of local organizations that are part of our coalition, and you are the ones that make the difference. We're just the glue sticking things together. So I want to thank each of you who came, whether you speak out today or not. Your presence is critically important. Even more important is your presence in your community, your willingness to tell neighbors and friends so that everybody who's ashamed and still hiding behind their door gets out from behind that door and stands together. I will be speaking inside a little bit about the history of what they've really tried to do, and I'll sprinkle that in between comments. But right now I want to start introducing the folks who have a story to tell. And Kate, if you're willing, yours is one of the straightforwardest stories. Let me introduce Kate Palmaccio from Lunenburg, yes? All right, let's hear it for Kate. Yeah, you're going to do great.
Okay, so I bought my house in 2002 with my fiance, and unfortunately we broke up. So in 2008, I was forced to refinance the house on my own. I got into a large financial crisis. I've tried for many years to do the right thing and work with them. That the banks have changed and different assignments, and it's been very confusing. And finally, I just said enough's enough, and I decided I'd do a deed in lieu. And I got foreclosure, a deed in lieu of foreclosure. And I got a letter back from them stating that they could not find a clear and marketable title. The bank.
So where do you go? What do you do?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I just don't know.
So I think you should clarify for folks that the bank's not willing to take the house back.
The bank is not willing to let me sign it over to them.
Because the title's not clear.
Because the title isn't clear.
Because they
messed it up. I mean, I haven't done anything wrong. I've done everything that they've asked me to do. I've tried to work with them.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Kate.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to find this often, and you're going to find this in the coming days as we talk to legislators, which is that people tell their story and you come to the end of the story and there's silence, because no one can believe that a bank gives her a mortgage, then tells her they're going to take the house, and she says, okay, fine, I've tried everything. Let me, it's a final ditch effort, I'll give them the house. And they won't take their own house because they screwed up the title. This is what it's getting like out there, and it's very hard to explain to people quite how crazy it is, because it's gotten so crazy it's incomprehensible. Let me introduce, let's see, who am I going to grab? Let me grab Joe Boyer, because he's had a little practice recently. Joe Boyer has been fighting for his home for over 5 years, and is still in the fight, even though they've taken him to hearing over 50 times. The bank has had him in court. Over 50 times. Let's hear it. Let's give it up for Joe Boyer.
So I bought my house 27 years ago in 1988. Refinanced it in 2003, and excuse me, and then got into the crisis, the economy collapse that happened in 2008. I have a 3-family house. Both of my tenants lost their jobs, so we couldn't make the mortgage payment. That was my income. So we got behind in the payments. The house was theoretically foreclosed on illegally. They never sent me a notice of sale. The first thing that was wrong was they're supposed to send you a notice telling you they're coming to sell your house. They never sent me the notice. Turns out that the post office returned it to the bank, addressed, stamped as undeliverable as addressed. I have an affidavit from the post office saying that, and the courts just ignored that. The fact that they mailed it, that they put it in the post office, was significant enough to qualify according to the law. We so there was the foreclosure. We've been fighting that now for 5 years. About halfway through that process, I finally got educated by hooking up with some of you folks to the fact that the trust that had foreclosed on me never had any possession of the house whatsoever, never had any interest in this house. They never had any legal rights to the house whatsoever. But I couldn't get any of the judges or any of the courts to listen to me, to even look at the evidence. They would take the papers that I submitted and answer me back denied for my motion within 10 minutes. Like never having even looked at the evidence. So fought them, amazing battles, keeping ourselves from being evicted. But April Fools of this year, we finally got evicted from me and my family, got thrown out. And of course, this whole time, the first thing that they did when they foreclosed 5 years ago was kick out my tenants. So I had no income. This was my only source of income. Now we're fighting this thing for 5 years, 50 times in court with no money. We did hire a lawyer in the beginning. They didn't know what was going on. Cost us all our money. Now we're really broke. So anyway, so finally get kicked out on April Fools a month ago. And then I start getting these interesting papers in the mail. I got a notice from my servicer, the one I had been paying all those years, my mortgage, paying my payments to, who had been foreclosed on 5 years ago. I got a notice from them saying that we've adjusted your mortgage payment, and if you send us in your payment, you'll be all set. I'm like, what? So I just figured this is some kind of an administrative blurb or something, and it didn't mean anything. About a week later, I receive a right to cure notice from the servicer saying that the servicer owns my mortgage. Not that they're servicing it, but that they own my mortgage, and they're giving me a 150-day right to cure. In the same day, we received a right to a loan modification package saying I have a right to modify my loan, which they didn't, they ignored before. Now they're offering me this right. Again, from the servicers claiming that they own my mortgage. Now, if they own my mortgage, how did the trust that foreclosed on me own my mortgage? That's the first thing. So that triggered me to go look in the Registry of Deeds, and in the Registry of Deeds, I find a brand new affidavit filed 7 days after we were evicted, a brand new affidavit from MERS, our friends at MERS, to the trust. The trust that foreclosed on me 5 years ago, they're now assigning it to the trust 7 days after the eviction. Assigning my mortgage. So that was bizarre. I mean, like I've got, this is in the Registry of Deeds. This thing is right here stating that they did this on April 6th. So then that triggers me, this year. A month ago. So this triggers me to go into the MERS database to look and see if I can find out who owns my note, right? There's a note and a mortgage. The note is the debt, the mortgage is the collateral. So I go into the MERS database to look for the note to find out who owns my note, which should be the trust, right? In the MERS database, it says that my original lender is still the owner and has always been the owner of the note. It has never been transferred from out of their hands. So how did the trust foreclose on me without the note and now clearly without the mortgage, which is what I've been saying for 2.5 years to the judges, and they wouldn't listen. Unbelievable.
Yay.
So the most important thing I want from these folks is not to take away my right to keep fighting.
All right.
Yes.
In reimbursement.
No,
Let's give it up for Joe for still fighting.
Yeah.
We went around the State House yesterday. Joe must have talked to 12 senators. And the last folks we caught at 6 o'clock in the evening, Joe hands him paper after paper showing that the mortgage was not held by the trust, showing that the note was not held by the trust. And at the end, the guy looks up and he goes, but none of this is legally possible, right?
Right.
And we are the proof that all the things that were not legally possible have been done to our folks. And we're not going to let it keep happening, right?
Right.
All right. So let me introduce, yes, Ramon Sepulveda from Brockton, who's been a fighter on this battle now, I think, for 4 years. And he has a slightly different story to tell.
Well, my story is a sweet success, and thank you for the organization, City Life, and other people who helped, and all of you who was involved in this situation. I got a Habitat for Humanity house in 1998. Living there with no problem, pay my set amount, save income. The house decided, it was a condominium, it was 2 families. So the lady downstairs decided to leave. I said, listen, I got my son who has 7 kids to Habitat. I would like to buy the downstairs so they can live upstairs. And they say, okay, fantastic, good price. I mean, 78. When I was going, situation happened. I ended up with heart surgery that I ended up disabled. My doctor, by the way, they fly me to Boston because of my condition. When I became a little bit impaired, not because I could not afford the rent or the mortgage, it's just that the mortgager decided to go bankruptcy when all these things happened about the big bubble birds. I questioned them and asked them, about my situation, and say, no, you okay? The only thing that you don't have the same mortgager. The mortgager went bankruptcy. He left me a letter saying that you don't have to send the check to us. You have to send the check. Can I mention it? Bank of America. Okay. So I say, okay, I didn't know nothing of what happening. I was wrong, The next thing, they sent me my check back. And they said, why they sending me the check back? They told me excuses like, probably was a mistake because you're a new client, all this stuff and everything. He said, well, I got a letter from you telling me that nothing had changed, that everything's going to be the same, and the only thing that you need, to send the check to them. And that's what I did. Because the other company, Wheelchair, told me the same, the same thing. They say, just your name or the mortgager. Then again, a month go by, I send in 2 checks now because they return my money back, and the next thing I know, they charge me for late fees. I say, what is this late fee for? Because you don't pay on time. Say, just a minute, you send me the money back. Oh, we want more money than that. He said, for what reason? He said, because we can. Just like that.
Oh my God.
Because you can. And I let them know, do you know this is a Habitat for Humanity house that was, awarded to me in the event that I decide to leave, stay in the statement, in every single statement from the mortgager and everything, that say in the event that I need to leave the house, some of my kids could continue, or the Habitat for Humanity will have the first option to buy it. back. And from there on, they